down in Tampa Bay. Tom Brady threw 5 touchdown passes, oldest quarterback to ever do so. I'm telling you, I said it after week 1. Tom Brady will be just fine and down in Tampa Bay. As he gets more familiar with the offense, as he gets more on the same page, more in sync with his wide receivers and what Bruce Arians wants him to do, this team is going to be dangerous. This team is going to be a problem. But that's not the story coming out of Tampa Bay for me. Yesterday, the story is Justin Herbert. This dude is balling right now in his 3rd start. 3 starts in, right? As we know, Tyrod Taylor gets the shot, punctures his lung. Justin Herbert finds out he's starting his first career NFL game 30 seconds before the kickoff. And in those 3 games, he's looking comfortable. He's looking confident. He's letting it rip. He does not look like a guy who maybe didn't understand the offense, was slow to adjust to the NFL game. And honestly, small sample size, 3 games. But for how good Justin Herbert has looked so far, I want to know what Anthony Lynn and the rest of his coaching staff saw in training camp that said, you know what, Tyrod Taylor is going to be our guy. We'll still roll with Tyrod. Maybe Justin will play at some point this year, but Tyrod's our guy. Yesterday, 20-25, super efficient. 290 yards, 3 touchdowns. His first touchdown, if you haven't seen it yet, a frozen rope. Deep bomb, 50 yards, drops it right in for a touchdown. Look at it. Go on Twitter, go on YouTube. Justin Herbert, I'm telling you. And now he threw an interception yesterday to end the game. Still learning. But let me tell you, so far, 3 games in, Chargers look like they got themselves something special here. They really do. He's looked really, really, really good. Justin Herbert balling so far out there in Los Angeles. So that's really, I have 4 things I kind of want to hit on throughout here, quick hits. That was the only positive. Justin Herbert playing really well was the only real positive. A lot of negatives. Let's start in Detroit with Matt Patricia just flat out sucking. That's really the best way I can put it. Him as a head coach just sucking. Lions blow. Now we talk about the Falcons and their blown leads. The Lions did it yet again. The Lions are 1-3 on the year. All 3 losses, they've had double-digit leads in. Obviously, we know they had a lot of the Bears. Mitchell Trubisky, 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. They lose that game. You took a quick 14-0 lead in Green Bay week number 2 before the doors are just completely blown off and Aaron Rodgers runs up and down the field against that Lions defense. Again, Saints at home. You're up 14-0. You get an early pick from Drew Brees. You score a touchdown. Things are looking good. Guess what? Saints go on a 35-0 run after that. You go from 14-0, look like you have a chance here, maybe salvage the season. Go on a 2-game winning streak, a nice little win at home over the Saints. And instead the Saints were about 35 in a row. Matt Patricia's defense gets carved up yet again. And this is what I've got to ask here. As a defensive-minded head coach, as a guy who's brought in after Jim Caldwell was fired to elevate the team, he's not taking over a 2-14 disaster. He's not taking over a team like the Jets, who have issues every which way. He's not taking over a team like the Bengals, who had 2 wins last year. Matt Patricia took over a team that was 9-7. Jim Caldwell, for his 4 years in Detroit, his career record was 36-28. He had a winning record in Detroit. This is not a rebuild. This is not a tear it all down to the studs and start over. This was, okay, Jim Caldwell, we like what he's done so far. He has the momentum. Matt Patricia, you take us to the next level. You elevate us. And instead, what has Matt Patricia done so far? He has taken the team the other way. He's taken them into the tank. He has put the Lions in a position to where whoever takes over him next year is going to be tearing it down. Total rebuild. Do what Matt Patricia thinks he's doing now, that coach actually has to do. So as a defensive-minded head coach, Matt Patricia going from office space here, the question has to be asked, what exactly is it that you do here? What would you say you do here, Matt Patricia? You say you defense. You say you coach defense. You say you're a defensive specialist. You're 10-24. Your defense, through 4 games so far, has allowed the 3rd most points in the NFL. Teams are averaging 31.7 points per game against the Lions. For a guy in your 3rd year now, not exactly what I would say riveting stuff, Matt. Well, I guess for the 2nd year, I apologize. Not exactly what you want, what you can hang your hat on. 10-24 career record, and again, thinking, and yesterday, this is what I'll say about the Matt Patricia era so far in Detroit. Similar to Bill Belichick, his press conferences have almost been a must-watch now, but for totally different reasons. I don't know about you, but for me, I love when Bill Belichick kind of just has these mumbled one-word answers where he somehow finds a way to not answer the question, even when it's a direct question. Bill, we saw Cam Newton broke his leg in practice today. Any update? Oh, I'm just going to try to find, we're going to talk to the doctors. I'm no doctor. So, you say he broke his leg. I don't know if he broke his leg. Bill, we saw the other half of the leg on the field. I'm not a doctor, so, I really can't say whether Cam broke his leg. And I was going to see, hopefully he's healthy. If not, we'll figure it out. He finds a way. He is the perfectionist, and he is an artist at not answering any question, not giving you anything. I love it. To me, I find it hilarious every single time he does it. Matt Patricia, his press conferences are now also must-watch because it's finding a new excuse, a new way to contradict himself each and every week. Credit to I do not know, I apologize, the Detroit media member who asked after, I believe it was week number 2, after yet another double-digit blown lead. Matt, is there anything in your coaching style that is allowing for teams to constantly come back on your defense, He said, really, when we talk about, big games late, I made one of the best plays, or I made one of the best calls, I should say, in Super Bowl and NFL history, referencing the Super Bowl, where Malcolm Butler made the interception on the goal line of the Seahawks. And because he's the DC, he's still taking credit for that. But then in the same breath, we talk about how, we're only focused really on the here and now. We don't really look back. As he just references, a play happened 6 years ago. Yesterday, more of the same from Matt Patricia. Someone asked Matt Patricia, Matt, why should the team have confidence in you that you can turn this around? Matt Patricia goes on to talk about how this is a total rebuild. He had a lot of work to do when he got here. Despite the fact that, again, Jim Caldwell was 36-28 when he was fired. This was an elevation project for Matt Patricia. Taking them to the next level. And he's taking them to the complete opposite. He's taking them to the tank. Whoever takes over next to the Lions, good luck. It's going to be a total rebuild job. Matt Patricia. Terrible head coach. Speaking of terrible, you know what's awful? That I hope people realize now that it's kind of brushed under the rug or overlooked last week because of the incredible performance. The Bears QB situation, terrible. It's awful. I tweeted this back in, I believe it was March when the trade was made. When the Bears announced they gave up a 4th-round pick to acquire Nick Foles to take on his contract and compete with Mitchell Trubisky, I said the quarterback room got worse, not better. Why? Because you take one wildly inconsistent, underachieving quarterback, pair him with another wildly inconsistent, hot or cold, hit or miss quarterback with Nick Foles on a big contract, and he gave up draft capital to do so. Nick Foles comes off the bench last week as the hero, 3 touchdowns and that comeback over the Falcons. He is the starter. It's his offense now. Struggles. Colts beat the Bears 19-11. That offense for 3.5 quarters was anemic, was tough to watch. Now, the Colts have a great defense. Credit to the Colts. Their secondary is playing great after their Week 1 debacle at Jacksonville. It's looking more and more like an aberration each week. But Nick Foles did not look good. He absolutely did not look good, and this should not surprise anybody. This is what Nick Foles is. He told us this is what he is for weeks and years now. You'll still look to him to be a beacon. He still hold on to the Super Bowl run, or what he did in 2018. He is great in the reserve role. If you need him in an emergency, if you need a change in the philosophy, Nick Foles coming off the bench is great. When he's the main guy, when there's a quarterback competition, he's trying to stave off another guy on the roster, he shrinks, he shrivels, he stinks. Go back last year to Jacksonville. Unfortunately, he broke his collarbone. Unfortunately, that opened the door for Gardner Minshew to take over the team. When Nick Foles came back, he went 0-4. Couldn't keep Gardner Minshew off the field. You want to point to Philly the way he played great? Fine. There's also a difference when you know Carson Wentz isn't coming back. When you're not always looking over your shoulder to wonder if this is the last play I'm going to get. Is this the last drive I'm going to get before they go back to my replacement? 2017 and 2018, Carson Wentz was out for the playoffs both times. There was no coming back. So it was Nick Foles or bust. That does free you up in your mind and in your play to play a little looser, maybe take more chances that you would because you know, okay, I'm not going to get benched. Play with house money here. Let's see what we can do. Nick Foles is playing anything but house money right now. I fully expect the Bears to go back to Mitchell Trubisky. The question is when, not if. We will 100% see Mitchell Trubisky back in the Bears quarterback under center at some point. But guess what? It won't make a difference. This Bears quarterback situation is god-awful. Had they 3-0, again, I have zero clue. Mind-numbing. But it's going to continue to be bad. It's going to be hot and cold. Mitch will play well one week. Nick will play well one week. And then as soon as they play bad, it's all right, let's get back to the other guy. Flip-flop, flip-flop, flip-flop. All season long. Bears quarterback situation, god-awful. God-awful. Speaking of bad, I want to finish here with the Texans. So the Texans, honestly, starting 0-4 now after the loss to the Vikings, had a brutal schedule, yes. Chiefs, Ravens, Steelers. Arguably the hardest schedule you possibly could start to start the year. But as you referenced earlier with Bill Parcells, the famous saying, you are what your record says you are. The Texans really are this bad. It's not just a product of the schedule, which has a role, but it's not just because of the schedule. It's because this team stinks. It really is because this team stinks. It's a reason why I picked the Colts to win the division, and not because I'm a Colts homer. It's because this roster, outside of Deshaun Watson, is brutal. It's terrible. It's not good. Their offensive line, again, is not only not good, it's going to be in place for a while. Titus Howard not working out so far as a tackle that they drafted last year. Larry Tunsil, like I told you about earlier, they traded 2 first-round picks to bring this guy in at left tackle to be their anchor. Overpaid him, paid him to be the best tackle, the best left tackle in the NFL. Guess what he is not? The best left tackle in the NFL. So you're paying the guy what he should be, but what he's not. So you're overpaying at left tackle. The interior guard center position is not great. Watch yesterday alone. Yesterday's loss to the Vikings encapsulates all the issues wrong with the Texans on offense. Deshaun Watson was running for his life every single play. He get the ball, drop back, look at his first read, have to run away. He plays a lot with his legs. He was the most sacked man last year, and we see how mobile he is. Think about that. He's one of the best athletes at the position. Maybe second best only Lamar Jackson. In terms of escapability, in terms of avoiding the rush, keeping plays alive. And he still was sacked the most times last year. So he's running for his life every single play. And not to mention now, when he's running for his life, there's no DeAndre Hopkins to throw the ball to. There's no safety valve. There's no automatic catch like he had out there. That was his safety blanket. That was his go-to. And now you replace that with the likes of Will Fuller, who, to his credit, had a good game yesterday, but is wildly inconsistent, can't stay healthy. Brandon Cooks, deep threat, can't stay healthy. And Kenny Stills, who's really, almost gotten worse throughout his career, not been great. Loved him in Oklahoma, big fan of Kenny Stills, Oklahoma. Has yet to really bring that production of a number 1 wide receiver to the NFL. Disappears a lot. Then you had that, throw in David Johnson, underachieving since he got paid, injury prone since he got paid. That's a recipe for disaster.